rebel who went searching for treasures in his soul, fishing for gold. I found a key to unlock the door to my mind's gate, hidden with some hieroglyphs. Told me about my future and my past, and that I should get till I work it and get up off my ass. I'm on the path to move the masses to spiritual tactics. So masters, you bastards, spread it through classes. Live your life.
The veil has lifted the energy, shit that my indigos get that we different. Off the loose, so we tripping, the plasma we sipping. Now the dimensions are dripping. Unless you are different, you won't know the difference, or make a difference, you slipping. You're chasing this chicken, decoding the digits, you know that I stay on my pivot. Your body's the shell, your spirit's the snail, so why are you chasing your tail? They got you so pale, what is that smell? Chemtrails, what you inhale? I feel like evil Knievel. I'ma build we a cathedral for all of my people, so how that they cannot reach you. Power to the people, we are equal. All this evil and deceive that they cannot reach you. You are ascended, no more pretending. Work up a spinning, now the stars are bending. Conscious extending all your comprehension, and not to mention release all the tension. They want us divided cause they know united. We will override it. Fifth dimension, we gon' overnight it. Light the flame, baby, let's ignite it. So they can't hide it, nah, they can't hide the light. We blow up like dynamite. Had to kill the old me, cause I ain't want the kind of life. Nah, thought I.
Wake up, it's the indigo clutch. Wake up, 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 it's the indigo clutch. Wake up, 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 it's the indigo clutch. Wake up, 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 it's the indigo clutch. It's the indigo clutch. Wake up, wake up.
Elevate the masses, gotta find your passion. This that conscious flow, reppin' indigo. Know we free to glow, do this lyrical vision. Your goals form a path to proceed. Growing up, I was different. Now casting the streets always had me a purpose to speak to the weak. Just believed in myself and my spirit prevailed. Said I found my way. Now they all say I'm their protege when they quote the name. Or as they shine in the world, keep combining. Introverted, so I kept my distance. Got love for you when we in the building. Yeah, CLE, know that's conscious living. Ain't with the light, then we cannot kick it now. All part of my manifestation. Told myself life is amazing. Adapt to the changes and phases. Wasting your time getting trapped in a stasis. Say no fail, conscious living, ambition, regain your vision. This is indigo mind, no time chasing religion. Me and third eye, inclined to use mine. This vibe will never die, just one step at a time.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, it's the indigo clutch. Wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, it's the indigo clutch. Wake up, 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 it's the indigo clutch. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Now entering stage left, Marcus, aka Christolight. Grand Rising and Grand Day. Welcome everybody to Rising with Ra here on this Sacred Friday. And I decided on this Rising with Ra, since the sun is shining, or I should say Ra is shining, and we got beautiful blue skies and warm weather, that we're going to take it outside. And, you know, last year when I started Rising with Ra, we did a lot of outside energy work and grounding. So I just want to continue that and take advantage of the opportunities that we have to connect with nature and the elements. Oh, there's a hawk over there actually. So, grand day again to everybody. And on this Rising with Ra, we are going to be wrapping up Hindu week, with the mythology of Hinduism. And we will also be doing a Earth Star Chakra activation a little bit later on at the end of the live. And later on I'll touch upon some crystals as well as the characteristics of the Earth Star Chakra and how it relates to our being. And then we will begin our Rising with Ra with our traditional collective card reading for the weekend, as we will be exploring the Light Language Oracle. And I'll pull one card for today, one for Saturday, and one for Sunday. And then, after our card reading and before our Earth Star Chakra activation, we are going to hold space and sit with our sacred guest. And our sacred guest is a beautiful divine brother that I have recently connected with in the last few weeks and have resonated with heavily resonated with. And our sacred guest goes by Genesis, Genii the God, here on Instagram. And he is a multifaceted artist. He creates music. He also is a seeker as well as embodier and translator of hermeticism, universal principles, divine knowledge, and much more. And Genesis is going to be joining us here after the card reading as our sacred guest here on Rising with Ra. Go ahead and clear out the space with a little bit of white sage. And Grand Rising to everybody, Grand Rising. No announcements this week for anything that's coming up. Just a reminder of the Sacred Community Space, the Sacred Kingdom. That space is open today and you are able to join as we have some members now in this space and we are going to get some things rolling. We're actually going to be having our first introduction meeting where you get to meet some conscious collective community within the space next weekend. And then we will be holding our first tribe event, which will be a chakra empowerment class. And I will be guiding us through a chakra healing empowerment, as we will do it together in a group setting as a workshop to learn in depth about the chakras. And in order to attend, you gotta be a part of the private community, because that is where it's held. All right. So our collective card reading. Made a special herbal drink. What did you what kind of magic did you put in that herbal drink? Whoa. Okay. Friday, Saturday. Alrighty. Our collective card reading for the weekends. So today we have High Priestess NATO. I'll go ahead and read from the book for this card reading. High Priestess NATO, Universal Healer, Planetary Grid, Starseed. So her message is twofold. You are experiencing the effects of the planet's energy healing shifts, or you are responsible for helping the planet through its healing shift at this time. Listen to your soul and ask yourself which applies to you at this moment. Most importantly, NATO wishes to express her gratitude for your hard work experiencing the energy, as it is not easy to transition for any being, especially humanity. That's very short and simple, and I don't have too much more to add to that, but what is coming through is just remembering, remember your energetic self. Remember the purpose of why you're here and what you're doing energetically. And remember that what you're feeling, what's shifting, is not only taking place for you, but it's also taking place for the collective on the planetary level. And when you can step into that understanding, then you start to dissolve those feelings of feeling alone, feeling like you can't do this, or that you're trapped, or that you're isolated, and that you're the only one that's going through this, and nobody can relate to you. These type of things dissolve when we start to acknowledge that we are connected to the planetary grid work, and that what is also being shifted in our life is taking place in others collectively in their own translation for their experience and where they are. And also just open up and allow yourself, maybe in this moment, to really receive the gratitude, receive the love, and receive the support that you have all around you and within you. And when I say all around you, I mean the elements, the angelics, the ancestors, the galactics, the brothers and sisters that you consciously connect with, your family members. Take a moment to soak that in. Soak in the support. Soak in the love. Soak in the gratitude that is present. Not from you to others, but from the universe to you. There is a lot of love, support, and gratitude that is being given to you, whether it's through a physical being or through a metaphysical light being. And it's present daily, 24/7, in Mother Nature, and the elementals, and the sun, the animals. They are all giving their love to you as well. They're giving their support unconditionally to you as well. And that's why I was drawn to sit out here today. To sit out here, my bare feet planted to Mother Earth. Sit out here with the elements, the animals and birds, and receive the rays of Ra. To really embrace the beautiful support and the amazing abundance that we are and a part of. So just remember, your hard work is paying off and it's being seen. Whether it's being acknowledged from a physical being or being seen from etheric beings that you can't see with your physical eyes, it is being acknowledged. But most importantly, It's being acknowledged from within your own self, in your own mind, in your own consciousness, and you know what you're doing. And I'm going to say that again, that last part. This really sits in my heart, in my highest of hearts, is remember that you know what you are doing. Remember that you know what you are doing. Don't forget the beautiful things, the big heart, the love that you are flowing out, that you are giving, that you are holding for yourself and others. You don't have to be recognized and validated by others to know what you are doing from within yourself. And lastly, celebrate. Find time to celebrate sometimes. Even if it's daily, find a period to celebrate daily, whether it's inner child play or just doing something you really enjoy. And it doesn't even have to be what you call spiritual. It could just be what is really fun and enjoyable to you. Sometimes for me, it's playing Xbox. Sometimes for me, it's watching basketball or football. These are things that I still enjoy to this day, no matter how much I become a spiritual yogi with myself. I still enjoy these things, and I give myself time to enjoy those things and just surrender and shut off from being so serious about the spiritual path, because it's all the path. Let it flow, Al. If you ever feel like crying, let it flow. You don't want to resist it. You don't want to shove that energy back into your system. You want to release it and let it go, and you're safe to do so. So that's our reading for today on Friday. And next we have Saturday, and that is Cyclops. Cyclops, we have shamanic insights and tunnel vision. The masculine Cyclops is a huge guide, and his energy overflows greatly. He is singularly focused on spirit and always sees truth of all situations. When you connect with the Cyclops, he brings you closer to a more tribal version of the divine masculine. He is the earthly hunter, seeking all of nature's offerings. The message the Cyclops offers to you shows two sides of the same coin. One side says, see the situation you face with your third eye, or eye of spirit. Open your mind to all possible outcomes, and even some you have not thought of yet. Ask the question, what will I learn from this path I am on? Or perhaps, what did I learn from this recent situation? The other side of the coin talks of a one-track focus. You know what you need to achieve, so set out and just do it. You are the hunter. Now go hunt and bring back your prey. That is beautiful. Just a reminder of balance. The balance of understanding where you're heading by your own choices. It is your choice on where you're heading and where you want to head and what you want to experience. And also tapping into, what am I learning in these moments that I'm experiencing? What can I take from it? What can I take from this conflict? What can I take from this emotion that is arising through me? What can I take from this behavior that I feel like I don't want to do any longer? And then also on the other side, the contrary, is understanding that you already have it all. You are the abundant stream. You are the medium. You are the temple of experience and existence. The less that you sit in your head and think about what to do and how to do it, and if it's going to be enough, or if this person's going to think this, or if that person's going to do this about it, the less you think about these things, and you just tap into your heart and your passion, and you just start flowing and doing, you start to really feel more of your essence. You start to feel more of your free flow of who you are. And you'll shine. And when you shine, you might shine so fucking bright that it blinds some people. And it's not up to you how they react from your shine. It's up to them on how they adjust accordingly to your shine, especially if you're being pure with your intentions. So just remember, it's up to you to put forth action while we are in this 3D physical reality in order to create and manifest into your reality what it is that you wish with your pure intentions. 3D requires actions. We can't just sit in our head. That's 4D. While we have 3D bodies and 3D reality, we gotta put forth our body and our actions. That's the balance. So that's Saturday. And then Sunday's card, we have Intergalactic Mermaid. Intergalactic Mermaid, Shadow and Solitude. Her message for you today is simple. Have no fear of living deeply. Feeling every part of your being, take comfort in solitude and shadow as it holds the secrets of your soul. This is a time for sanctuary and solitude. You don't need to be here for long before it turns into depression. This is a time of deep rest. She asks you to use this time wisely as it can teach you so many things. Self-love is just one of many lessons that can bring light in the dark. And that's for Sunday, is surrendering. Surrendering to your shadows, surrendering to your patterns, and give yourself love, give yourself grace, give yourself compassion and patience for where you are and what you're trying to accomplish with your being. It's a process. It's a process of unfoldment when we're manifesting and trying to recalibrate our vibration to what it is that we intend ourselves to be and embody. It's going to require shedding layers. It's going to require taking a look at thought patterns, cords, attachments, blocks in our energy field, leaks in our energy field. It's going to take being patient and acknowledging these things that are keeping us from being our most potent vibration. And I just want to remind us not to get too caught up in the light, not to get blinded by the light, to remember that we are in existence. We are part of a reality, illusion or not. It requires accountability, responsibility, and action. And if we just passively, spiritually bypass our life and think that everything is going to be handed to us and everything is just going to happen without putting forth any action or embodiment, then I'm sorry, but you're gonna sit in your own energy and it's gonna start to sink. And this is why some of us get into depression. This is why we feel lost, or that we don't have a purpose. Because sometimes we're bypassing our life and not taking accountability and action, thinking that just because we're all one and that we're all connected and that all is divine, that everything is just going to happen for us. And that's the point of having these individual experiences, authentic experiences, is to be accountable for our being and do what we came here to do. So, I know the shadows can be kind of scary sometimes, but remember, the shadows are just fractals of you. They are just bits and pieces of yourself that need love, need nurturing. And then that shadow will work with you and help raise your frequency and rise. Powerful weekend we have here as we step through the 5-5 gateway. Friday's card is High Priestess NATO. Saturday's Cyclops. Sunday, Intergalactic Mermaid. That's our collective card reading for the weekend. And I want to give thanks to the guides, this space, and all of you for this moment. All right. So that was our collective card reading. It is Marcus, aka Christolight, here at Sacred Light, and I'm presenting to you my Sacred Light services that are available currently. I am currently offering Reiki, chakra alignment and empowerment, intuitive life guidance, soul origin galactic therapy meditation sessions, as well as sacred oracle readings. These are all services that I'm divinely offering and have available to you any day of the week. You may contact me through my email, which is marcustut23@gmail.com, through Facebook at Christolight Robbins, or through Instagram at sacredlight33. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me at any of those contacts, and I will give you the best answer I can to help you get clarity upon what could best suit you on your journey. And we can book a session whenever you're ready. Wholeness, balance, love, vibrations. And now we are going to go ahead and transition over into our sacred guest space, as we will be joined with a good brother. He goes by Genesis, Gene I the God, here on Instagram. everybody. Our brother Genesis.
Peace.
Grand day, brother. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am blessed, and I'm just really letting go. Letting go and allowing myself to be anchored and grounded and stabilized in the moment, and just trusting and knowing that I'm divinely where I need to be, and I will continue to put forth the actions I need to.
That's beautiful, man. Intuition and logic. You can operate off of both of them. I heard you speaking about that, action and people thinking things are just going to happen. And I can imagine, I was talking with Aquavision and Amani last night, and we've been going through these rigorous gymnastics, mental gymnastics, and tossing around these different concepts, and really just, I'll answer their questions with questions and make them think about things. And I'm like, most of these concepts are things that people don't think deep enough about. They don't think too deeply about. Most of the time it's just imitation, basic imitation, kind of like a child. And it's not a real assimilation and a digestion of a concept. It's more of a memoristic retention and a regurgitation of information. And that can be good. It'd be like if you were eating something and then you threw it up, but some of the contents got assimilated. Not all of it, but it was enough to survive off of. You know what I mean? Like, it's enough to keep you alive. And that's kind of like what we do with modern spirituality in the Western Hemisphere. It's enough to keep us alive. It's enough to, get us through the day, or, enough to keep our ego alive and to validate it in the presence of other people, because we appear to be greater than we are. You know what I mean? Because we have information, we have data, and when we regurgitate it to people, it's like we feel good about ourselves, because one of the basic human desires is to be appreciated. So we're inflaming our ego, even if it's on the smallest or most minute level. And it's crazy because your testosterone levels can drop just by dropping in status. They've done studies to show that, especially in men, your testosterone levels can drop or rise depending upon what the status that you have in a given hierarchy. Like when men get together, their testosterone will naturally go up, because they're either consciously and or subconsciously assessing where they are in relationship with everyone else in the hierarchy. So we're always trying to assess this value that we have. And one of the reinforcement mechanisms, the survival mechanism of the ego, is to appear to be greater than we are. And when I say greater than we are, we're everything. So how could you be greater than everything? Well, you can create the illusion of being greater than someone else's everything. You see? And that's kind of like what the ego does. It gives an improper assessment of its position and status within the hierarchy of creation. Because if everything is equal by nature, then the difference in degree is merely mechanistic. It's a necessary appearance of mechanistic inclinations that allow for us to operate effectively and optimally, because we're all playing a position. You see what I'm saying? And not everybody wants the position that they have given themselves. It's like if we come into this world knowing, then we chose every facet of our existence, and we may not be in agreement with that because the level of development that we've achieved. And like I said, spirituality has become a fad in the Western Hemisphere. You know, it's kind of like yoga pants. If you have yoga pants and you can stretch relatively good, then you might be a yogi. You know what I mean? And it's like, we need more action. We need more discipline. We need more refinement. We need more depth of contemplation. We need more depth of meditation, because most of these concepts, if you have thoroughly been trained in these subjects and you peruse another individual's catalog, their archives, their mind, if you was to peruse their mind and inquire about their philosophy, I would say the majority of the time, because it's a pyramid scheme, you know, many are called, few are chosen. And they say many, they mean all have been called. Few are disciplined. You know, that's another way of saying it. Like, everyone is called, few are disciplined. So it's few are disciplined in it enough to where they can actually be more efficient conduits. Everyone is a conduit, because you can't not be. You know, energy is infinite, and so is the form that meets the energy so that it can be expressed. You know, there's no residual energy just hanging out. It's all being expressed in an infinitude of different forms of potential and possibility, probability, and things that actually happen. You know what I mean? I call it God do it instead of conduit, because God do it, you know. God does it through us, and we are that thing that we call God, or that we call creator, or that we call essence, you know. So when I heard you say it, I started thinking about all those things. I'm like, yeah, too many people think it's just going to happen. Not to say that it doesn't just happen, because it does. But the paradox to that is it's happening through you and as you and with you and for you. You know what I mean? So the activity that you put forth is the thing that's happening. So it is happening, and it happens by way of the activity, you know what I mean, that we put forth. So I thought that was beautiful.
Man, beautifully articulated. I mean, that was a masterpiece of words. And yeah, it fully resonated for me. And I trust that people were able to receive what they needed to from that. And yeah, you know, it's a common theme, you know, because a lot of us, we come from, you know, in our soul journey, some of us come from, you know, higher vibrational densities, and then we incarnated here onto this earth, and in our subconscious mind, we're so used to, you know, just instantly transmitting things telepathically because we don't have a physical body. And then we kind of get caught in between dimensions where we're living in this like 7D reality in our mind, and then we're neglecting our 3D life by forgetting that there's a process, there's mechanics, there's principles to this dimension that we are existing in with these bodies. And we can just tend to think that we can think our way through everything. And, you know, we can get so caught in our knowledge, in our studies, and just seek knowledge, read about it, and then think that's it, and that we're going to instantly embody that knowledge, and then it's going to start taking place into our reality. But the thing is, when we step into these lower densities, there's a process. There are things required when inhabiting these bodies and being in this realm, and that is action, putting forth. And yeah, it's no fault to anyone, you know, just really understanding where each person is and where they've been on their journey, and that it's really easy, especially if you're a very high vibrational being, to forget that there is a balance of action required with the mental thoughts of manifesting. And, you know, I find that quite a bit of us are becoming depressed and lost and all these different things because we're kind of in that in between. And we had forgotten that we got to put forth action into our life and be responsible and accountable for ourselves.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when we talk about spirituality and people are, you know, I'm a 7th dimensional being or an 8th or a 9th or a 100th or whatever, it's like, you know, first off, majority of the time we probably haven't really delved deep into the ancient archives, you know, that were, you know, residual traces of ancient masters of these practices. We haven't really thought about, you know, what are these worlds? Where are these worlds? Where are we in relation to these worlds? How do these worlds function? What are the principles? What are the laws? Are these just concepts? You know, are they in our brain? Or are they in our mind? Or are they in our soul? You know, what is the soul? What is the spirit? You know what I mean? So we kind of just throw things around first. And then next is, okay, let's say you are living in these higher dimensions, which is true, because if you're going to descend through the celestial spheres in an involutionary process, they talk about descent and then they talk about ascent. So ascension would be an evolutionary process. And you would have to cultivate a vehicle for you to be in these worlds, meaning that when you're descending, there's a vehicle that you possess as this all mind. All is mind, the universe is mental. There's a vehicle that exists in every one of these worlds, because you can't exist in these worlds or travel to these worlds without first having a vehicle in these worlds. So like when you go to sleep and you go to the astral realm, for example, or you go to the emotional realm, you go to the mental realm, and there's actually very distinctive terms that they use to describe these worlds. So I'm going to use general terms at first, just to kind of, you know, so people can relate, because they might be familiar with some of these other terms. But when you go there, you're already there. You didn't go there. Your vehicle, you already exist there. You see what I'm saying? You're just transitioning your focus from one vehicle to another. So it's like, okay, I'm not focused mentally on being entangled with this specific vehicle in the physical world. So now I'm in this world, but I was already in this world, and I'm already in all these other worlds. So if you switch your focus, yes, you could potentially exist here. But what makes you think that you're going to be able to fully exist there and embody that reality if you can't even do it at the lowest level? You see what I'm saying?
Wonderful question.
You're barely navigating this one. What makes you think you can navigate there? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be like if you went to a major city and you went to and you didn't know where you were going, and you went straight into, like, let's say you're from like Idaho or something, and you've never really seen any like big city towers, or, you know, and you walk into the projects on accident. You know, you go into the astral projects, and you know what I mean? Like, and they just bully you. Like, they take all your jewelry off and everything, and you walk back to the physical naked, and you're like, what happened? And you're like, this is what happens on psychedelic trips when people have bad trips. You know, I say it's tripping when you don't know where you're walking. You know, it's a journey when you're exploring these worlds and you can actually navigate them. But it's tripping when you don't know where you're walking. You don't have a map, you don't have a guide, you don't know what you're doing. You're just throwing your hand down on the map and saying, I'm gonna go here. I don't really know where it's at. I haven't really investigated it at all. I'm just gonna go here. In fact, you're not even doing that. You're just taking a stimulant, or you're doing Kundalini and whatever you're doing, and you're just ending up somewhere. You're just projecting yourself there. And it's like, we need to be more trained here first. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be trained here, you have to develop your mind and your will and your intellect and your intuition and your emotions and, you know, your discipline, concentration, focus. All of these things you have to develop here, and it's a very slow and arduous process here. Like there, it's like, oh, well, I can do a lot more here. It's like, yeah, but you can mess a lot more up. It's concentrated here so that this is the most dense realm, because we're able to slow things down. We're able to warp space and time. Like when a planet is massive and it has gravity, it warps space and time in physics. So it's the same thing down here. Space-time is warped. You know, I just talked about this in one of my episodes with one of my best friends, who the guy that I run the podcast with. He's a physicist, and we were talking about light in relationship to the Creator, and how light has its own space-time continuum, and you have time dilation. You know, so if the light was at the beginning of the Big Bang, if it existed from the beginning of the Big Bang, hypothetically, right now, that light, it would have been like a minute had passed, you know, for the light. For us, it would be billions of years, but for the light, it was like, oh, you know what I mean? And it's the same way. The closer you get to the source, you have time dilation and you have length contraction. So the distance that it has to travel is also shorter. And that's why they say, like with the Creator, you know, a day to God is 1,000 years to man, or whatever. You know what I mean? Because of time dilation and length contraction. And it's like, if we think we're going to operate here, we came here first for a reason. You see what I'm saying? And not enough people focus on that, and they think they're going to master these higher planes. That's not how initiation works. Initiation is expansion and refinement and cultivation of these vehicles in the higher spiritual planes. And to do everything we do here cultivates those vehicles there. So when people are cultivating chakric energy through their daily activities, through the will, the intellect, the emotions, and the mind, the four elements, as they're doing this in the physical, then you have corresponding energies that are being cultivated in these corresponding planes. You see what I'm saying? And if you're not properly cultivating the energy here, then you can't cultivate the energy there. You might have a vehicle there, but you're just a child. You're just a child there. You have the seed of a vehicle there. So it's extremely immature. It's infantile.
Oh, man. Ashe. Ashe, ashe. Preaching. Thank you for translating that into very, very good metaphorical terms for us all. And man, what an entrance. Thank you, Brother Genesis. If you'd like to, let's take a moment, and I'd like for you to have the opportunity to introduce yourself a little bit to the collective. Maybe briefly touch on, what type of spaces they can tap into you at, like your YouTube and other spaces, and anything else that you find relative for this moment.
Yes, so I'm Genesis the God on Instagram. It's Gen I the God. Some people say Genie, which I don't mind that, because Genie. So Gen I the God, GENEYEDAGOD. And then Universal Theory is the other Instagram that I have, but it's you, like you, YOU, and then NI. So you and I versing. So you and I versal, and then theory. The theory of the universe, the single universe. And that's my other Instagram. And then that Instagram, because I have a group, a rap group that I'm in that I helped to create, and we have an entire brand. It's Super Heru with the X. So they got the crook and you got the flail like a SAR, and it's Super Heru with an X. That's why I throw the X up. And so it's Super Xuper, and then Heru, like the hero, hero's journey, the hero, Heru, or Horus. Some of you may know him by Horus. So Super Heru, and there was 4 of us. There's 3 of us now. It's a whole nother story. But in my link, in my bio, you'll see the information that you can get. You can go to and check out the music and videos that we've done, and we have merchandise and all of that stuff. But in the Universal Theory link, in that bio, you can see our YouTube and our Patreon and all that stuff that we have going on. And our YouTube is the same. It's YOU, but it's -N-I-Versal Theory. And that's only because they wouldn't let us have the other name. So we had to change it a little bit on each platform. But yeah, and then I run a podcast with one of my best friends. He's a physicist. I'm a metaphysicist. So we mix physics and metaphysics, science and religion, and we talk about biology and chemistry and philosophy, and you pretty much, you name it. We're just trying to build a bridge, a language that is a bridge between the two, so that we can start communicating and conversing more efficiently between these two fields, because they appear to be separate, and historically they've been divided, but they're not actually separate. The ancient practitioners were scientists, they were physicists, they were astronomers. They weren't just astrologers, they were astronomers. They built these megalithic constructs that align with constellations that are light years away. So they weren't doing any light math. I mean, light math, but they weren't doing any light math. They were very serious about their crafts.
Shay. Yeah, that's like so spot on. And thank you for being our sacred guest today on Rising with Ra. And yes, something I tell people is like, a lot of people look at these religions and then look at modern science and all these different things, and I just try to tell them, like, you can actually go to the core, you can go to the root of all these modern things that you're seeing that have basically been and this isn't to take away from any of it. It's all valid and it holds its truth, but it's kind of watered down a little bit, so to say, compared to where if you go to the core or you go to the root of it, you can find basically the whole treasure chest of all these things mixed together into basically one space. And then you can really see for yourself that, oh, okay, this whole ancient knowledge thing, this isn't like some taboo that is far gone and just some hidden away secret that only secret societies can access and stuff like that. No, this is, it's ever present. It's living in this moment now. It's what is in our science. It is what is in our mathematics. It is what is in religions. And there's just been, there's been manipulation, there's been different intentions, and there's been other things that have been put behind the knowledges. And we have been seeing the effects of that. And then here we are, basically reverse engineering and getting things engineered to the organic matrix.
Yeah, so, that's exactly right.
Thank you for being on this journey with us.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we all agreed to come here and do this, whether we accept it, um, you know, all the time or not. Not all of us accept it, and not all of us accept, the ones who do accept it don't accept it, every second of every day. And if you do, that's beautiful. But that means you just reach that point where you realize you can't resist it and you just submit to it. You're like, oh, well, I have to submit to the archetype because I am the archetype. So I'm submitting unto myself. And if I resist myself, it would be like if you were trying to walk forward, but you were resisting walking forward. And you can't come to a standstill because that's impossible. You know what I mean? So it's like the momentum of forever is going to push you towards your destiny regardless. And you can't resist the sum total of events. If we all made an agreement, if one person is not in agreement and everyone else is, even if they have fractions of the agreement, we're all still agreeing. So it's inevitable. You know what I mean? You can't resist it. I call it the sum total of all things. You can't resist it. Not one person could resist it because they'd have to resist everything, including themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, Aqua's in the chat dropping jewels. Yeah, it's beautiful that you said that about the religions or whatever, the different systems being diluted, because that's what the whole pyramid scheme is about. One, it's a pyramid scheme on every level, and everyone is every block in the pyramid, and that pyramid is symbolic, to the macro and the micro. And within the micro, let's say we're talking about the individual, they are their own pyramid scheme. Their knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, this process of gathering information and applying information to embodying information and becoming, aware that you are the information, that whole process is a pyramid scheme. And then that pyramid scheme applies to that collective, which applies to, it's like individuals, and then families, and then groups and cultures and countries and continents and planets and solar systems, and it goes all the way up. It's an infinite pyramid scheme. And when you get to the pinnacle of this pyramid, there are no true pinnacles. It's like you climb the one mountain, there's another infinite mountain you got to climb, and you just keep climbing these infinite mountains. But when you get to the hypothetical, pinnacle, of said pyramid, before you transition to a new pyramid, that the capstone is an identical replica of the entire process. It is the pyramid. It's not shaped like the rest of the blocks. It's a little pyramid. You know what I mean? And it's like that for a reason, because it represents the summation of the process. The other blocks are cut out differently, but the capstone is the entire process. Like the crown chakra, the Sahasrara, like it is the entire process. It represents all the rest of the chakras. You see what I'm saying? The capstone represents all the other layers. And with these different systems, it's equal in nature, different in degree. You can't give everyone the same system, nor the same system with the same potency. Each individual has to have a different degree of potency. So the dilution process is required. You see what I'm saying? Because we can't give everyone the same amount. It's equal in nature, different in degree. So each person has to reach it at a different point in their life. And there's always going to be a group of individuals who have, moved further along the path, so to speak, in their previous lives. And when they incarnate in this life, there will be a group of masters who come back and help raise them to masterhood. And then the process keeps going. So like in different cultures, they have different names for these people, and it's always a few. And as the population density gets greater, because it's a pyramid scheme, as the population density gets greater, so do the amount of people that have reached these levels that are able to spread the word, so to speak. So if the population density is extremely low, you might have one master per culture in every 500 to 1,000 years or 2,000 years, you know what I mean? Or more. But as the population density gets greater and things become more complex, like culturally speaking and socially speaking and politically speaking and militaristically speaking, all these different, technologically speaking, all these different facets of existence, so do the individuals that come through as these conduits for these higher teachings. You see what I'm saying? Like in the Jewish culture, they call them Zedics, and they say at any given time there's 72 Zedics, you know, and then you have 36 exoteric Zedics versus 36 esoteric Zedics, and these numbers are symbolic. It doesn't have to be a literal number, but there are individuals who do know that they are these individuals. These are the esoteric Zedics. These are the 36 higher Zedics. Then the 36 lower Zedics, the individuals that don't know, but they're still conduits for the message. You see what I'm saying? And you'll always have these groups in every culture, and they represent the ones that have the distillation. They have the distilled teachings, and they're able to give it out organically to the rest of the people, and it's a trickle down effect. So if someone's practicing these religions in the most lowest possible form, the truth, what is the opposite of the truth? Someone will say, well, a lie. And it's like, there are no lies. You know, you can contort the truth, but there is no such thing as the lie. There is no such thing as the absence of the truth. The opposite of the truth is not the absence of the truth. If I was asking for the absence, I would say, what is the absence of the truth? If the truth is the only thing in existence, then that's the only thing that can exist. So it doesn't matter how much you distort it, the essence of it still remains. Equal in nature, different in degree. So the nature of it is still the same. And that's why they gave us these principles, so that we could understand that, so that we don't get lost. You know what I mean? What's the opposite of an apple? Someone might say an orange. And me, Aquavision, and Amani, we've been building on this. And I say a seed, an apple seed. An apple seed is the opposite of an apple, because if it's on a spectrum, unless you genetically modify it, then you're only going to get a seed. And then inside of that seed is the tree, which produces the fruit that has the seed in it. You see what I'm saying? So if you reverse engineer it, you just get back to the seed. You know what I mean? And then if you fast forward its evolution, you just get fruit with the seed in it. So it's the same way with the truth, and it's the same way with anything else. It's like, if we're all practicing the same thing by nature, then there can only be a difference in degree, which is a matter of expression, which is relative to language, culture, topography, the place and space and time, you know what I mean? All these different variations, but we're discussing the same thing. Too many people, because of, you know, concentrating on the difference in degree, we think we're worshiping different gods, or somebody's worshiping something and someone's worshiping God, someone's worshiping themselves. And you know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, there's only one thing. If you can't divide zero in math for a reason. So if you take a single pie, you can cut as many slices in it as you want, but it's still the same pie. We didn't go from strawberries to cherries or apples to oranges. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the same pie. It's just how we divide it. Some of us realize that we don't have to divide it. You know, that's the key. We're like, oh, we don't have to divide the pie.
Soul food.
Idolatry in the mind. Yeah, that's a good point too. He said idolatry in the mind, and I used to say this to people when we would debate about stuff like this. And you know, that's why you just don't debate with anybody, because it's like, well, I'm just trying to translate it. So if I'm debating, I don't want to argue. I'll debate it with you. I don't want to argue with you. You know what I mean? Because that's when it becomes, you know, it's not fruitful anymore. It is fruitful, but the fruit is not the same. You know, it's rotten at that point. But it's still fruit, so I guess we could still eat it. You might get sick from it, but it's still fruit nonetheless. But I would say in relationship to symbolism and idolatry. And I would say idolatrous worship symbols. Symbologists break down idols. So an idolatrous is someone who worships the symbol because it's in its lowest form. It doesn't know any better. It's like, oh, this rock is God. I will worship it. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, this rock is God, but it's a symbol for a God. You know what I mean? Not that it's not a literal living manifestation of the creator, of the essence itself, but you're worshiping the form side of it, and that's it purely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're segregating it from other things. It's like, so idolatrous worship symbols because they don't understand them. They're just like symbol. You know, Jesus on the cross. It's like that's a symbol. That's a symbol, but I'm an idolatrous because I'm worshiping the symbol. You see what I'm saying? That's why in certain cultures, they don't make symbols at all. They're like, no, we're not doing that because we know what can happen, the side effect of having a tangible representation of it. You know what I mean? Which also has its downside because then when there is a symbol, they're afraid of it because they think it's idolatry. Because they're like, oh, you know, why do you have these symbols? These symbols it's blasphemy, you know, to say that God is in this symbol. It's like, it's blasphemous to say that it's not. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of how you observe it. So an idolatrous will worship a symbol. A symbologist will break down an idol. It will break it down and it will be able to explain it in relationship to reality and say, no, this is what this means. It doesn't, you know, we're not primarily focused on the image itself. We understand the essence of it. And that's where the true teachings reside, in the essence of it. Not necessarily the symbol itself, because the symbol is a concentration.
Well said. And, you know, that's something that, oh, we got a Mother Bee over here. Hello. And, you know, that is something that I have mentioned in a few of my Rising with Raws, because, you know, we bring up mythology and we go through the different cultures of mythologies. Oh, we got a Mother Bee, like heavily communicating with us right now, sitting right in front of me. Oh, there she goes. She's like, nah, you ain't gonna capture me. This is for you. Nothing like that Mother Bee medicine. But, yeah, it's something that I kind of like make a disclaimer of, is that, you know, just because I'm going through, you know, these mythologies and these different quote-unquote gods and goddesses doesn't mean that in this space we're worshiping them or we're seeing them as something greater than or separate from us. It's just looking at different character or creative minded representations of different aspects and energetic archetypes of the all that is, which we also are as well, as reflective, creative concepts to reflect back to us different aspects of our own being as who we are as the whole. And that's just all it is. And there's nothing more to it. And, you know, I really like to make sure I disclaim that for people, because, you know, there is a lot of, you know, the worshiping out there of the material, and there's a lot of externalizing our inner power into believing that, you know, we are just this puny human, we're not capable of anything, you know, we have to worship some savior, and there has to be something bigger and better than us in order for us to even be close to a worthy being or a worthy person. So I really like to make sure that's clear for people when it comes to this space.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So someone in the comments said, you don't even have to call it pie. That's true. We could not call it anything, but then how would we describe it to someone who hasn't experienced it? And this is another trap that we get caught up in, is when you're able to, and don't think for a moment that you fully embody it. you know, because to fully embody it, you would no longer have an experience. And then it's like, well, what about if I reach nirvana? It's like, well, if you reach nirvana, Buddhas come back. Do you think that the experience stops? No, because as long as you take on form, and you will always take on a form, as long as you take on form, you'll always have an experience. If you cease to have an experience, that means you've never had an experience, because the law of cause and effect says that an experience has to have no beginning, which means that there's no beginning to your experience and there's no end to your experience. And the form and the formless are a single thing. So detachment is accepting that the formless is the form. So the formless will never have form, nor can it be described, nor can it be defined. But are you actually experiencing the sum total of what the formless is? No, you're experiencing the form's version of it. You see what I'm saying? Because the form is compatible with the formless. So the form allows you to conceptualize the formless. But guess what? If the formless never had a form, it would never have a language to communicate itself through. So nothing would ever be known about it. And then the shadow of the formless in the form is the inability of the form to actually embody it and encapsulate it as a form. So even when you're describing it, you can never describe it. And some of us will realize that and will say, well, then we're not going to describe it. It's like, well, then you're not going to teach it, nor are you going to understand it, because you have to process it. When you're like, I'm not going to describe it, are you using thoughts and language to describe the indescribable or to not describe the indescribable? If you say, I'm not going to describe it, what concept in your head do you have of the idea? Is that not the form using language to not describe something? So that's the point. Is a lot of times we're like, well, we don't even need anything. We just are. It's like, yeah, the being didn't need anything. It just is. But it had to be in a state of becoming for it to be able to have experience, because without that, there is no experience. It's like the observer versus the observed. The observer is always observing, but can the observer observe itself? You see what I'm saying? It's always observing everything. Can it observe itself? No, because it implies that there is no observation in itself. Because there is no experience. An observation would be an experience. It has no observation of itself. It doesn't need it. It is it. There's nothing to observe. So the only thing that it can observe is the process. You see what I'm saying? And I ask people, I say, okay, let's talk about being and becoming. And we'll imagine, we'll use the principles, the law of polarity is everything is on a spectrum. Everything is on a spectrum. So where does being, everybody right now can ask themselves this, where does being become becoming? At what point does being become becoming on a spectrum? Is it a gradient? Is there a certain point where being ceases to be and it starts to become? Because if so, that contradicts its nature. Because if it is, it can never not be. You see? If it is, it can never not be. So there is no like highest level of enlightenment where we're just like, hey, everything just is, and I'm going back to being, and I wish you guys the best. You know what I mean? Like, or I'll come back. You know what I mean? It's very arrogant.
It would really just like take away from the whole point of existence and why we're even here and inhabiting these bodies and experiencing. If we were to just go to ultimate omega nothing, it's like you don't want that. You don't want to be in that when you're in existence. The point of being in existence is to be in existence and to experience and to be able to shift and move around energy and be these co-creative beings. And it's just like in the reading, like when I was speaking on blinding ourselves with the light and just becoming spiritual bypassers in our life and just thinking that everything is just going to happen because it's all one or it's all light. And the last thing I'm just hearing you say is ground yourself. Ground yourself to this realm. Ground yourself to your body. Ground yourself to Mother Earth. And remember the point of existence and why you're here. And like if you were to just be, the void nothingness, then you wouldn't be here.
Nor could you be. That's the point, is people don't think about it. They're like, I'm going to go back to the void. How did you leave it? If cause equals effect, and the effect is in the cause, then the void could only be the void, because it's the cause. So the effect of a void is a void, just like the effect of becoming is becoming. So it's this great conundrum that we dance around and we think we understand it, but we never really sit down and truly think about how that works. It's like, I don't want to do the intellectual work. The intellect is inferior. It's like, we're here. We have an intellect. This is what we do. If you want to embody the mind of the all knows all of this. So what's the point in you not seeking to know it or trying to throw it to the side and act like it's inferior? It's like, no, it's equal in the mind of the creator. Every facet of this journey is equal in the mind of the creator, equal in nature, different in degree. And that degree is relative to the degree that you attained. So in ancient systems, they would say, you can't name something you haven't attained. If you haven't attained it, you can't name it. She said, it's frequency. Are we really here? Yes and no. Because if you are the being, you can only be a being. If you are becoming, you can only be becoming. So when we say the being is becoming, here's a conundrum for you. Okay, so the being has no beginning and no end. The becoming has no beginning and no end. That means you've always been in a process of becoming. So show me where you be without becoming. Show me where you become without being. Show me a critical point where you can go back to this hypothetical void and you can be in this infinite state of rest. It's like trying to reach stillness. From the state of becoming, everything vibrates, and the cause equals the effect. So if it always vibrated and there's no beginning and no end to this vibration, show me a frequency pattern that you can reach where everything stops vibrating. The being in you doesn't vibrate at all because it's not
even when you stop breathing.
Vibration. Exactly. If you go to another world, exactly. If you go to another world, you don't stop vibrating. Just like time. People will say, well, I'm in this dimension where it's timeless. It's like, no, that's called time dilation. Time doesn't cease to exist because time is tangible. I can eat time. I can smell time. I can touch time. Not the time that man is talking about. Time is based upon three basic things, technically seven, but I'll say three. Vibration, rhythm, and polarity. It's the vibratory oscillation between two poles. Everything has vibration, everything has rhythm, everything has polarity. So that means time is eternal, and there's infinite amounts of time. That's why Einstein was correct in that, because time is relative to your perception of it, because you are stuck in the realm of perception. I don't care where you go in the universe, what plane you're on, you will have a perception. The observer will be observing something. And in that observation, it can distill time, it can dilate time, or it can contract time and expand time. But at the end of the day, it's still time, because time is based upon vibration, rhythm, and polarity. And technically, mentalism and gender and all the other principles are all time. That's what gives experience, because without experience, you couldn't have time. Without time, you couldn't have experience, because it's process. You see what I'm saying? Now, how you measure that process is relative. You know, if you say there's 23 hours, 56 minutes, and like 46 seconds or something in a day, okay, that's how you measure time. And it's like, well, how do you measure that? Well, I'm measuring how fast the planet turns on its axis, and it's 24,901 miles in circumference, and its diameter is 7,918 miles, and there's 196,940,000 square miles. on the planet, and you know what I mean? Like, we could go all over all these details, and we could talk about your measurements, but that's relative. It's a relative observation.
Or round.
You said what?
I said, and it's flat or round.
Yeah, I mean, it's flat or round. You know what I mean? It's like.
I'll be honest. It really cracks me up, like, just how serious people get about whether it's flat or round. And it's like, okay, you're putting all of your life force energy into trying to be right about whether this planet is flat or round. And then you find out, and whatever way you find out, that it's flat or round, so to say. Okay, then what? What does that change for you in your life? What does that do to, manifest you a beautiful life and abundance, and, change your job and help your family? Like, what does battling people, calling people names, degrading people, categorizing people, and all these different things about whether they believe the earth is flat or round, really going to do for your life?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, another question I ask myself is, let's say I'm trying to convince you, like, let's say you're a flat earther and I'm trying to convince you that the planet is round. What do I benefit from convincing you that it's round? What do I benefit? It's like, okay, it's round now, or it's flat now. What's the agenda? You know what I mean? Like I think about a lot of deep things, and that's probably the most perplexing thing that I could come up with. It's like, I could fathom the mysteries and, unravel these great things that these yogis were building on, but when it comes to what would be the agenda, what is the purpose? Like you said, it doesn't even, how is that okay, if it's flat, now everything's better. You know what I mean? Like, now everything's better, the world is better, the atmosphere is better, our water is better, our land is better, everything is better. It's like, okay, if that were the case, okay, maybe I'm willing to say that that's the case. If it's going to make everything better for everybody and all I have to do is accept that it's flat, okay, you got me, okay? I'm a proponent now. So it's like you said, it doesn't, you know what I mean? It's not going to change your existence on a fundamental level. I mean, it would in the realm of physics if one or the other is true. Like, you know what I mean? But, just for the sake of argument, it's like, does it change your moral system? Are we still assholes on a flat disc? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And, like, my main point behind it is, like, we really gotta just be aware of where we are focal pointing our energy. Our life force energy is a very delicate and very sacred thing. And what we invest our energy into is going to say a lot and do a lot for us in our life. And I'm not the one to really say that things are distractions, but there comes a point where instead of really putting the energy on the self and on things that are going to nurture and help blossom your life, you're kind of just expelling it into things that, it's down. But for me personally, it's just like, I would rather put my focus on, like, things that are really gonna to bring some good results of shifting my life and others.
Well, if we're all one, then technically everything that anyone does is supporting the whole. And that's something that, people that are more advanced realize that. They're like, oh, well, I'm going to do this because I know it supports the whole. But everything that I've done on this path, from the lowest level of criminality to the highest level of, character refinement, it's Equal in nature, different in degree. Everybody's supporting the whole. If you don't have people doing the opposite thing and all the infinite variations between it, then we don't have examples and we don't have experience, and then the all lacks something. Like I would ask people, let's say, does the all lack something? And they say, no, you can't add to it, you can't take from it, you can't change it. And I'm like, so if it doesn't lack anything, is that not a form of lack? Because if there's nothing that it lacks, that's a form of lack, because it lacks the lack of something.
Right. It wouldn't even be a thing.
Exactly. So it has to equally have everything and not have everything and everything in between. So when someone doesn't have something, they actually have it from an absolute standpoint, but from a relative standpoint, they're going through the process of experiencing what that is. Because if the all didn't have that experience, it would lack it. Yep. You see what I'm saying? So like, we have to think more deeply about these subjects and be like, are we separating ourselves from the all by saying that I lack something? Or am I connecting myself to the all because I lack something? You know what I mean? Yeah. And do I actually lack it when I think that I lack it? Or is that just the perception of lack, which allows for me to have the experience of what it would be like to have the lack? You see what I'm saying? So exactly. It's like this whole circle, it's this whole philosophy, and we have to really think it through. And it's like when someone says something's impossible, it's like, well, nothing's impossible. I'm like, well, that's an impossibility. You just stated an impossibility by saying that nothing is impossible. There'd have to be an equal amount of impossible things with the possible things for it to be absolute. You see what I'm saying? Because as soon as you say that it lacks something, saying it lacks things that are impossible, it's like, well, that's an impossibility. You just said that it's impossible for something to be impossible, which is an impossibility. And if that's the only thing that's impossible, then you just stated it. You see what I'm saying? And we don't really think that deeply about our philosophies. We just kind of, hear stuff, imitate, memoristically retain, regurgitate, try to sound wise. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, it's about embodiment. And embodiment comes from the actual experience of these concepts and delving deep and actually applying our entire existence to it. You know what I mean?
Yes. The alchemical mastery. Wow. Beautiful. Well, all right, brother. I guess we'll go ahead and move into the chakra activation, and you're more than welcome to stay on if you would like.
Yeah, I'll probably watch from the crowd, but I have to get to work because I've been super behind on all my content. But
remember though, you're not behind.
Yes, exactly. I'm always on time, even when my partner's kicking me in the ass about it. It's like, I'm on time. He's like, yeah, we're 2 weeks behind. But we're on time.
Just got some goals to achieve.
Yes. So, yes, I appreciate it. Thank everybody. Thank you, everybody, for, being in the comments and, lending your perspective and your ideas and so forth. And I appreciate all you guys. And, we're, back to the mission at hand.
Thank you, Genesis. And for everybody out there, Genesis the God, give him a follow here on Instagram. Gen the God. I got him tagged down below. His YouTube channel is down there, pinned as well. And just check him out. Check out the links in his page if you want to listen to his podcast, as well as any of his music. And feel free to send him a message too. I'm sure he's open to having some intellectual conversation or guiding you into some resources. And I just want to let everybody know also that after this live, I'll be dropping the flyer and the promotion, but we will be holding a Sacred Light Conversations podcast next Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. And my Sacred Light Conversation podcast, I will be holding space with the Holding Space crew. I will have this I will have B and Aquavision all tap and joining for the podcast next Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, live here on Instagram. And then I'll be uploading it to the YouTube channel, Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. And you guys will be able to learn a little bit about all three of them, a little bit about who they are, why they're passionate about what they're passionate about, and maybe even a little bit about their experiences that led to it, and some that have been along the way.
Thank you once again. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, brother. Wholeness, balance, love. All right, y'all. And once again, I wanted to give thanks to everybody that supported and interacted during the process. That was very beautiful. Very beautiful. And I trust we received what we needed. Blessings, everybody. Grand day. It is your boy Marcus, aka Christolight, coming up next Thursday, May 11th at 10 p.m. Eastern. You are invited to tap in and join us, as I will be holding Sacred Light Conversations podcast, as I am back for another podcast episode, and this will be on IG Live, Sacred Light 33. I will be joined by 3 Divine King brothers, the Holden Space crew, Aquavision, Blanjou, and Gina the God. Tap in and join us as we will explore hermeticism, as well as their paths, and any wisdom and nuggets that they have to share for the collective. Wholeness, balance, love, vibrations. See you then.
Drop the science on these motherfuckers.
So now we're going to move into our chakra activation and self-Reiki space. And today we are doing the Earth Star Chakra. And the Earth Star Chakra is located between the feet, and it connects us to Mother Earth. It is also the energy center for connecting deeply with the ancestors, as well as all beings of Earth, including the elementals, the animals, the plant kingdom, the water, any Middle Earth beings, such as dragons, elves, fairies. They are all accessible through the Earth Star Chakra. And lastly, the Earth Star Chakra also is the anchoring point and the stable point to anchor the rest of our chakra system to our physical Earth, so that we are rooted and anchored to the stability of Mother Earth. Crystals that you may utilize any of the black stones, such as black tourmaline, onyx, hematite, carnelian's also a good one, petrified wood. And today I'm going to be utilizing one of my favorites, and this is a smoky quartz with hematite. I'm going to briefly run through a few of the Hindu gods and goddesses to choose from to draw in the energy to activate the Earth Star. So number 1, you have Ganesha, This is the elephant god, lord of success, knowledge, and wealth. Number 2, you have Shiva, represents death and desolation, destroying worlds so that it may be recreated by Brahma. Next, we have Krishna, the deity of love and compassion. Next, we have Rama, the embodiment of humankind, mentally, spiritually, and physically in perfection. Next, we have Hanuman, symbol of physical strength, perseverance, service, and devotion, as well as dissolving evil energy. And next, we have Vishnu, and he is the sustainer of life, represents principles of order, righteousness, and truth. Next, we have Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth and prosperity, both material and spiritual, and also beauty, purity, and domesticity. Next, we have Durga, the mother goddess. She represents the fiery powers of the gods, protector of righteousness, and destroyer of evil. Next, we have Kali, known as the dark goddess, goddess of death, and represents ceaseless march towards doomsday. And then number 10, we have Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, art, and music, represents the free flow of consciousness, and can help you with speech and wisdom. So feel free to put in the comments, either in the live or on YouTube, which god or goddess you would like to draw in the energy of for your Earth Star chakra today. And I am going to be choosing I'm going to go ahead and choose Goddess Lakshmi. She is the goddess of wealth and prosperity, both material and spiritual. And she is also representative of beauty, purity, and domesticity. And the reason why I am drawing in her energy is to really balance the Earth Star with stability of the mother, and just really drawing in that purity, as well as that infinite abundance of wealth and prosperity, as that would help solidify the inner peace, as well as the stability of the Earth Star chakra into the physical being and physical reality. Hanuman. Okay, so Hanuman, nice choice. All right, so go ahead and get comfortable. And today for this practice, if you're sitting or laying down, let's go ahead and put the crystal that we chose between our feet for the Earth Star chakra. If you're sitting, you want to try to have your back straight so your spine can flow with your life force energy. If you're laying down, having your legs straight, not crossed, so we are not blocking the flow of energy in and out of the soles of our feet, as the soles of our feet are minor chakras for releasing and receiving. Next, relaxing your shoulders and releasing tension throughout the body. Checking our jaw and our hands, making sure that we are not clenching. And next, the breath. We will be breathing in through the nose, expanding the stomach, then consciously draw the breath all the way down between the feet to the Earth Star chakra. And then draw that breath back up and exhale out of the mouth. Breathing in through the nose, and we're just drawing the breath down to the chakra. And you can feel it travel throughout the being, throughout the body, releasing healing and rejuvenation, all the way down to the Earth Star. back up, and exhale. And just continue this breath pattern as we flow and receive the Reiki energy. So now take your hands, fingers cupped to create a focal point of energy, and point them downwards. Put them side by side with each other. And then if you're sitting, rest your arms on your lap with your hands downwards, pointing down the palms to the Earth Star Chakra. Almost as if you're radiating sonic waves from your palms down to the Earth Star. If you're laying down, you may just set your hands however you would like, and within your mind, tap into the Earth Star Chakra energy between the feet. And as you breathe, you may visualize the Hindu god or goddess energy that you are calling upon into your space for the Earth Star. Continue to breathe. You may repeat these affirmations out loud or inside of your own mind if you wish. I affirm that I am allowing myself to let go of resistance and energies that are keeping me from being anchored, grounded, and stable to my physical reality and to this Mother Earth. I affirm that I am tapping into unconditional love and seeing the I Am presence and spirit within all beings on Earth, including the animals, the elements, the trees, and other humans of all reflections, allowing myself to feel and be in the unconditional love connection. And I affirm that I acknowledge that all of my chakras are anchoring and stabilizing in balance with the Earth Star Chakra, Ashe. All right, and maybe take one last deep breath and start to draw your focus and your consciousness back to your physical world and your physical body. A couple of good practices to help your Earth Star, to help anchor and ground your being, is having bare feet on the earth, whether it's sitting outside on your balcony, standing in the grass, being at a park, whatever it may be, just having bare feet outside can help anchor and cleanse your Earth Star chakra. How are you, brother? Doing alive. Yeah. It's so nice just to be human and say hello sometimes, you know? We pass by life so much just like trying to get by every human that we cross without saying anything. And I found it so nice just to embrace saying hello and acknowledging people, whether they're just walking down the street, standing next to you, standing in line. It's such a beautiful thing to just tap into human connection. Sometimes it's what we're waiting for, is for someone to say hello and acknowledge them. All right, so that will do it for today here on Rising with Ra. Thank you to our sacred guest, Genesis the God, for joining us and talking such potent beauty. Thank you all that have been here to support, to interact, and show love. And you guys can watch this on the replay, the card reading for the weekend, as well as the conversation with Genesis the God, as well as the Earth Star Reiki activation. And you can also watch it on the YouTube channel and Rising with Ra YouTube edition, Sacred Light Healing and Wellness, by tonight or tomorrow. Next week, we will be stepping into and getting into the flow of Buddhist mythology, as we will explore the Buddhist figures, the Buddhist gods and goddesses of Buddhism. And next week as well, on Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, I will be holding space for my Sacred Light Conversations podcast with the Holding Space crew, Genesis the God, Aquavision from last week, as well as B, who is another member of Holding Space. And we will all be live at 10 p.m. Eastern here on Instagram. And if you're interested in the community space or any of my services, just reach out, and I am here. Everybody stay blessed. Have a wholeness, balance, love, vibrations.